So if you want to...
Hi, I'm Eric Tucker with the Office of Real Estate, and we're here tonight to give you some information on a proposal that we've received from monument companies regarding the disposition of the Stewart School. Over the years, there have been numerous proposals that have come through for Stewart School. One of the main things that we heard from your Civic League was that you wanted to have the opportunity to have input on what the proposed development is and to be able to ask your questions directly from the developer concerning the school. So one of the things about Monument Construction is that they are very familiar with doing historical renovations of properties. They've done about 11 properties in the city, and one of the properties is the Greenleaf building off of Monticello. You kind of see that when you go under the underpass. So that's one of the developments that they've taken a historical structure and recreated it to be a better use for apartments. They're looking to do something similar with the Stewart School, and we have Chris Johnson here that's from Monument, and he's going to tell you all about their proposal.
Great, thank you very much. Hi everybody. Good evening. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. It's just me tonight. The other principal of Monument is actually on vacation out of the country right now, and our architect is having her second baby on Wednesday. So we thought maybe not. Maybe we didn't need to have her out of town for that. But anyway, thank you for the introduction. My name is Chris Johnson. I'm a principal with the Monument Companies. We're a design, development, construction, and management firm. We're actually located in downtown Richmond, but we do work all over the state with a big project in Roanoke right now, looking at something in Fredericksburg, Portsmouth, Suffolk, 11 projects in Norfolk, all historic tax credit projects, and other parts of the state as well. And our specialty really is historic tax credit type works. We've done hundreds of millions of those projects. We do new construction as well, but this is really sort of our bread and butter. Some of the projects in Norfolk, Brightleaf Building, First Colony, Lindy Lofts, Tidewater Square, the Boys and Girls Club, Old Dominion Peanut. So there's pretty substantial projects here. We've been really excited about those. So just in general for the project, and then I'll take all kinds of questions too, as either in the process or at the end. So we made an offer to purchase the Stewart School from the city. I think first and foremost for us is we think it's a very cool building and we want to save it. So that is our plan. It will be a historic tax credit project, so that doesn't have anything to do with low income. Just so people know, it's a historic tax credit project, which falls under the purview of the Department of Historic Resources and the National Park Service. Provided you do the renovation in a historically correct manner, then there are tax credits that are available to the project. Our plan is for all market rate apartments and potentially some townhomes. We'll talk about that, in a little bit as a future phase. This is a pretty challenging project, not because of the size or condition of the building or anything of that nature, but primarily because the first floor is about 3 feet into the floodplain. Typically, when we're dealing with flood mediation strategies and so forth, we're talking in inches, not feet. So that creates a significant issue for the project. And then secondly, because it was a school, the hallways are just extremely wide, lots of stairwells. So your leasable square feet to your total square feet is pretty low. So anyway, those are two kind of challenges for the project. The floodplain obviously is the more difficult. We cannot, from a building code perspective, and frankly given how much of it's in the floodplain, we would not do residential on the first floor at all. And frankly, our intent is to go into the first floor, demo, environmental remediation, sprinkler, and then pretty much abandon it. Because the outside, you won't know the difference. It will look beautiful, but you'll never know that the first floor hasn't been renovated. But really the only thing we could do there is commercial use, and I just don't think that's a viable option given how much in the floodplain this property is. Maybe a gym, maybe a community area, or something of that sort. We'd have to work through some ADA issues with that. But that's kind of a shame, but that's unfortunately just the reality of doing business in the floodplain. As far as the specifics, there'll be luxury level apartments. I know your luxuries play around all the time, but granite, countertop stainless steel, hardwood cabinets, tile, refurbished floors, tall ceilings. They'll be very, very, very nice apartments. Mostly one beds, but we'll have a few 2 beds as well. We're not deep into the design at all. Like we don't really want to spend that money until we know that this is something that the city and neighborhood can get behind. We will definitely make sure we meet or exceed the city parking requirements, which has been 1 space per unit. This is what's required for other projects. I think we can actually do a little better than that here because of the amount of land we have. We expect around 60 apartments. I know people would think that this would be a lot bigger project than that, but considering the entire first floor can't be developed, it's just not that big of a project, which is unfortunate, but that's just how it is. And I always get asked this question, so I'll just put it out there now. But typically, I would say on average, our 1 beds will probably be around 700 square feet, and probably rent for about $13.50 a month. 2 beds will probably be around 1,000 square feet and rent for about $16.99 per month. Our model is all utilities are included in the rent, so your parking is free, cable, internet, electricity, water, sewer, everything, sort of the 1 check model, which our tenants seem to like a lot. In terms of demographics, I mean, it could be all over the place, but what we typically see are young professionals. That's really what we see in these projects, typically 23 to 36 years old. But there'll be some older people as well, I'm sure. In terms of the investment and access, it's about a $12 million project. Again, it seems like it would be a little larger than that, but due to the first floor, it's not. That's just the school portion, not the potential townhouse portion. As far as access, right now, the access is off of Virginia Avenue. If the city will allow it, we would really prefer to get another entrance, probably off of Carolina Avenue. We would need to lose a townhouse or 2 to do that, but we would do that and pay for it if the city will allow it. I mean, we would submit the site plan as always, and we would certainly propose that on our site. I think this is going to be a lot better traffic flow if we could have that additional entrance. And then definitely, the parking won't be as it is now. It'll have appropriate lighting. It'll have appropriate landscaping. It'll look like it's supposed to. The townhomes, we tried to sort of design those so they sort of, fit into the general architecture of the school. That would likely be a second phase. If the Department of Historic Resources, the National Park Service would allow us to do it as part of the first phase, we would do it. But typically, to introduce new construction to a site, it's about a 50-50 chance on whether you need to wait 5 or 6 years before you're allowed to do that. And that kind of gets into some technical guidance with the Department of Historic Resources. But we've designed them in such a way as we think they would fit in. Probably about 2,500 square feet, 2 parking spaces each, and probably garage parking, I would think. Let's see, what else? From a process standpoint, we would need to get city council approval to move forward. It would take about 30 days to get a development and purchase agreement together. And then we would have a normal due diligence period of about 6 months. During that period, we would make all of our zoning applications, all of our applications to the Department of Historic Resources and National Park Service, all of our architectural review board, all of that would happen in that 6 months. That's a very busy time period for us. And then we would close and start construction 30 days after we got our site plan approval from the city. And we'd be done in a year, probably. We would start immediately. The longest part of the process, and hopefully it would get done during that 6 months of due diligence, is the site plan approval with the city. It takes a long time. So anyway, that's generally the project. I think the thing that's most important to us is just that we have a general idea from the city if they're receptive in the neighborhood to the proposal. We're pursuing deals, a lot of deals right now. And there's just a limited amount of human resources we can dedicate to those deals. So if it's something that's supportive and it seems like it has a good chance of moving forward, then we would definitely jump right in. This is not a big project for us. Financing is absolutely no issue. You know, look us up or talk to some of our banks. We're happy to provide all the references you want, but we don't make any money when we slow play a project. So we will get in, we will have it financed, we will close, and we'll get it done fast. But anyway, that's sort of the overview. I'd love any questions, comments, thoughts. Yes, ma'am.
I have one for Eric. Are there other contractors that we're looking at, or is this the only one?
This is the only one that we're currently looking at. We've had other proposals, but the background and experience that we've had with other contractors has not been as extensive as what Monument brings to the table. So those we haven't moved forward with.
But I think on Virginia Avenue, I like everything that you said. My biggest concern is parking on Virginia Avenue. And also, I would love to change the entrance to Carolina. If the city could somehow guarantee that. Parking's a big issue, but people are allowed to park on both sides of Virginia Avenue. We had people not able to get out of driveways, we've got cars sideswiped. Maybe make it one way, or, you know, close the entrance to Virginia Avenue, make it all Carolina. It's not that many houses on Carolina anyway. I mean, just something, my concern is the parking on Virginia Avenue, and the traffic on Virginia Avenue. But I like the idea.
Yes, sir.
Just to be sure, both of the renderings are the Carolina Avenue side of the property? Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, did you say how many townhomes you were thinking about?
I didn't. We'd like to do 8, but you know, if we lose one to get an entrance in, and then we want to make sure we're providing adequate parking for the apartments. So if our civil plan comes back and says you only have X amount of spots and we want to have more, then we'll lose another townhouse, which is, that's fine to us. We just take that kind of look. Yes, sir.
So that townhome project would go where the playground is now?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about the acres?
Yep.
Two things. What if you did mention the basement, and there's also the property next to the school is like an L shape. What about the back half? They all go out toward the new water retention line.
Yeah, so the basement and the first floor are actually the same floor. That was confusing to us as well, but it's only 3 floors. Part of the first floor is sunken. And as far as this building here, the little L shape that goes back, this building, the ceiling height, it's a small building, but the ceiling height is tall enough that we could raise the floor to get it out of the floodplain. So that would just be apartments in there. Does that answer your question?
How about the actual, not the building, the property to the east of the school? It's a big empty lot right now. It's an L-shaped lot.
That's not, we're not involved in that. No, this site that you see here, that's.
So where was the townhomes go?
Behind the gym.
Where the basketball courts are.
So in the front section. On Virginia, basically.
I'll get you next, yep.
How far into where the basketball courts and everything with the townhome, would there be any grass area left before you get to the well?
We haven't gotten into that specific a design right now. I mean, we need to set it back a little bit because we have to get those townhomes out of the floodplain too. So that's going to naturally create a front yard for those folks as you sort of go up. You can see it's set back a little bit here. But we'll want them to have a little yard, front and back probably.
Do you have a picture of the Virginia Avenue side? This is awesome.
These are the two renderings that we don't even have architectural drawings. This was all done.
Okay.
I think you were next. Yes, sir.
Chris, how much of the original character buildings intact, and how much are you going to have to put back? Is there anything special we know about what's in there?
You know, the chalkboards are still there. A lot of them. The stairwells. There's a lot of historical that's still intact in there, and we'll as with any historic tax credit project, we'll preserve a whole lot of that. There also is a lot of, you know, don't get me wrong, a lot's going to be coming out because a lot of it's got asbestos and lead paint and all kinds of stuff that we don't want, but it'll still read as a school when we're done. Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit more about the first floor usage. When you say commercial, are you talking retail, professional offices?
I don't think we're going to be able to do any of that. I think what we'll do is to the extent that we can get a gym in the community area in the first floor, that's what we'll do. Otherwise, it's this far in to the floodplain. We could do commercial from a building code perspective there, but I'm just not comfortable with that level of exposure to flood. So it will be demoed, environmentally remediated, sprinkled, and then abandoned.
When you say a community center, it's sort of just the residents of the building.
I mean, to the extent that we can get one in there, it would be great if it's something that our tenants can use. To the extent that we're able to do that, and I'm not making, there's ADA considerations and other things, we'd be more than happy to have a couple of fobs for the neighborhood association at meetings or anything of that nature in there, if that's of any interest. Yes, sir.
So, excuse me for walking in late, it's good to find the entrance to the meeting. So we've got the original Seward Center, the original building, 3 stories tall. Big empty courtyard, then there is, looks like a cafeteria that was added after that. Is the cafeteria getting demolished and
No.
or what's going to be done with that?
I believe the cafeteria is right here.
Okay.
This is the part of the building where the ceiling height is actually tall enough
Right.
that we can build the floor up and get it out of the floodplain.
Okay.
So this is going to be saved and there'll be apartments in there.
Okay.
Actually, I think the gym was over on the Carolina side, the cafeteria was over on the Virginia Avenue side.
You're pointing to the gym, cafeteria is on the other side.
Gotcha, but this whole building is what I'm
Yeah.
talking to. We'll raise the floor height. And you have a lot more flexibility from the Department of Historic Resources in raising floor heights and so forth when it's not part of the original structure. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you mentioned several previous properties that you redeveloped and things. Are they along the same line as far as level of finishes and costs? And if so, what is your vacancy rate? Are you pretty full, or you still have a lot of empty apartments?
So the properties that we have and are finished, our vacancy rate is probably about 7% right now. We'd rather have it at 5%. Frankly, we've had a ton of car break-ins in the Park Place neighborhood. It's not helping a whole lot right now. But they have primarily stayed full. The project, we finished up a lot of projects at the end of last year. All of those have been leased up, which is 95% leased, except for Boys and Girls Club, which is 37 out of 40, so it's almost there. The level of finishes is a great question. It's the exact same. So if you've seen any of our, it's the same.
Yeah, you mentioned ADA. What's the plan since it will start on the second floor for ramps or elevators?
We're going to have to figure all that out. That we're going to have a ramp that gets up to where we've got ADA access to get up and have appropriate access for the apartments.
Second floor will be elevated?
Yes. Yes. It'll be served by an elevator. The ceilings are pretty tall. That would be a long walk. You know, you have some, if it's a historic tax credit project, there's some provisions within the building code that allow you to not necessarily go full bore ADA, but our plan, we will. So it'll be accessible. Yeah.
You're not planning any elevators or anything like that?
We will.
You'll have elevators?
Yeah. Somehow or another, we're going to have to get the elevator equipment out of the flood plain, but we will have an elevator that serves the second and third floor. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you're talking about when you start construction, you're going to impact both Virginia and Carolina avenues, right? How extensive is that going to be? You're making plans for traffic patterns to help with that? I mean, I live on Carolina, and during the school year, I already have an excess of traffic because of the schools and kids going to ODU and St. Patrick's. The people there, I mean, how are you going to adjust for that?
I haven't thought through specifically all that. I mean, we can definitely put some thought into that. Our intent would be to do the project as fast as possible to minimize that. Maybe we could work with the city to get a temporary curb cut off of Carolina, like before we start construction, which would be amazing if we could do that. That would really make life better for a lot of us, because we don't want to have trucks driving on Virginia, you know.
Right.
But that is certainly something that we would ask for. It's a good question.
Yeah, I have seconds about saying.
Sure.
So when you start construction, are you guys planning to go in and do an extermination in that building prior to?
Extermination?
There's a lot of critters that live in
Yeah,
there.
there's rats in that building.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna spend $12 million. There won't be any rats.
Protect the worker.
Yeah, exactly. And we walked through it, and I saw some, so I know what you're talking about. We're more concerned about the environmental issues, really, than the critters right now.
Well, but we're concerned about the critters.
Coming out.
They're going to leave your building and come out.
Yeah, well, maybe that's... Be prepared. We'll figure out.
You should have lived here when they tore down the old motor hotel.
Really?
Exterminators had a very good year that year.
I bet they did. Well, we have 6 months of due diligence, so if it looks like things are going well, we can start killing, you know, during that period. Yes, sir.
Chris, I guess this is more for Eric and Courtney, but one of the things that we've traditionally had a problem with in previous presentations has been the density increase in that small area. You're talking about 60 apartments plus townhomes, maybe 80 to 100 people maximum, and you're talking about all these cars, and you're talking about them coming into the neighborhood, through the neighborhood. The folks on Carolina are already stressed about the amount of traffic they get. The folks on Virginia are already stressed about the amount of traffic that they get. And that was a good question about construction, but after the fact, after this is completed, and you've got urban professionals moving back and forth through the city and coming down both Carolina and Virginia, what's your plan, or how do you plan to mitigate this? I know you probably don't have an answer for that because you haven't got an architectural plan yet. But for Eric and for Courtney, we need to have the city be concerned about the amount of traffic this is going to dump into our neighborhood that's already stressed on both those streets. So that's something that we would ask that you would take into consideration. Put them on the 38th if you can, and not on Carolina and Virginia. But the traffic folks need to be involved in this heavily.
Yeah, and that's one of the items that I jotted down here to go back to planning with, to discuss with them about. We hear you, and that's why we're here today, to find out what are those issues that you're concerned about. And then we'll make sure that that's included in both the construction end and in the final design.
Next question about traffic. Could you somehow make an entrance from Llewellyn Avenue? It's not that far away, you just have to do a little driveway or something. that could be an entrance in and out of the parking lot.
We'll look at all available options and determine what way is best.
And we're happy to participate financially in, putting curb cuts in and doing all that type of stuff. I would say there that 60 apartments on this much acreage is pretty low density development. I believe you had.
Yeah, I had a question for Eric. So just to follow up on Yvonne's question, one of the other proposals was made by a Colonial Place resident and a Norfolk business doing development. And I just want to know what process is the city as far as a contract with Monument? Monument's done great work throughout Norfolk, but where do other proposals stand? Is there a contract already signed with Monument?
No, there has been no contract signed with any developer.
Okay.
That's why we're here, is to present the proposal to you. If it's something that you think will possibly work for the Civic League, then we'll continue through the process and get started with vetting out other items in the proposal.
So if there's other proposals, will they also have the opportunity to present to the Colonial Place Riverview Civic League?
There have been, as you know, this property has been vacant for quite some time. And we have had numerous other proposals that have come through, some that you've seen, some that you have not. And we don't want to bring something to you that we don't feel would be a contractor that will get in, get out, that has the experience to do the project and to do a good job with it. So we're only going to bring you something that we feel is worth your attention looking at.
I don't want to debate you, but Moon Development has also developed other properties in Norfolk very similar to those that Monument has developed too. I just want to know where it stands.
Yeah, well, we have received, some time ago, we received a proposal from Luna. They hadn't at that time finished the projects that the last project that they were working on, so we didn't move forward with that until that project was finished. But we're still entertaining proposals for this project.
So you said if we are comfortable with this proposal, when would you want us to give you the answer?
If you could get back with me and let me know what the position is from the Civic League by your next meeting, if not sooner. Again, our goal tonight here is just to present the project to you. As Chris had mentioned, of course, the developer doesn't want to spend any money moving forward on something that he doesn't have community support for. And we don't, as a city, we don't want to move forward on any project that the community does not support. So this is your opportunity to voice your concerns, allow us to work through those concerns, see if we can get those questions answered. If we need to come back to you about that, we will. But this is your opportunity to provide as much input for both the city and the contractor to address any concerns.
I'm very optimistic about what I've seen. It's the best I've seen in all the time we've been talking about this. Now we encourage the city to do whatever the city can do to make it a reality.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to add my same endorsement there. As somebody who lives and works in commercial real estate day in and day out as well, including in multifamily housing projects, this is to have a project that's been brought to the neighborhood that is going to be a market rate, upscale development. I can tell you, we're not going to see anything any better than that. That I can foresee, and it's certainly, I think, of than the previous proposals and that we heard when we met over at the Park Place School years ago. I think it's, I can't imagine, I can't fathom anything any more attractive than this. Because I can't see, those who might be holding out for single family housing, entirely, I just, after demolition of the school, I'm just not sure I see that happen. I don't think the city's got the money to do that, and I don't think that a single family housing developer could build the houses that he could sell if he had to pay the cost of demolition.
Yes, sir.
There's been a lot of comments about traffic and parking. And granted, will probably be more traffic than there used to, but if we go back 10, 15, 20 years when Stewart School was there, probably imagine the traffic would be less with this project than it was when the school was there. And you had 40, 50 teachers, how many, a couple hundred kids, how many being dropped off, buses, how many going. I mean, our memories are short. Those of us have been here for a while, there wasn't used to be a lot of traffic going through there. We've become accustomed to less traffic. If we want to move forward, we have to be willing to accept something.
Yes, ma'am. You had a question?
Oh, yeah, when the construction is done, does Monument manage the property? or
Good question, yes.
You do?
Yeah, we have about 15 employees in the enterprise.
Will they have an on-site manager?
Yeah, it's because it's away from workplace. Yeah, we'll have on site.
I'd like to point out one more thing. The school is built backwards, of course. The frontal building is on Virginia facing north, but that's where all the kids were when it was built. A lot of the kids coming from that direction. You're not showing the other, but the existing front of the building is an architectural gem. If you haven't looked at the other side of it, look, because if I was working with historical preservation, and I'm not, I would be excited about you maintaining the north side of the building.
We will. Absolutely. We just did this side because that's where the potential townhomes could go. That's it.
This was the back side.
Right.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to echo the newer resident, Colonial Place, the comments from my neighbors one row up, and Bill especially. I know this is my first Civic League meeting. I haven't been in the neighborhood for a couple of years, and many of you all have been for decades. But we have to bear in mind that no solution is going to be perfect. Monument, I don't have any affiliation with Monument. I just met Chris tonight. They're a blue chip company. They're well financed. They're not going to get in and go bankrupt and build things. I'm not casting aspersions on anybody else who might have put in a bid, but this is a good company, and no solution for this building is going to be perfect. If there is a solution, this building soon will be demolished. Norfolk, unfortunately, has had a long history of demolishing buildings with good architectural work. That's what younger people who are moving to cities want. They want to see character. And this is a way to bring this building back to life. And maybe there will be a better proposal in 2 years, but maybe at that point the building comes down instead of having an empty parking lot. And I don't think that that's good for our neighborhood or for the city.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
You and I average 25 years.
You get the average close.
so, as some of you guys know, I work for a cultural preservation group. So I work with Monument a lot, so I might be biased. But as a historic preservationist and someone who's deeply invested in our architectural heritage, I was really excited when I heard that Monument had put in an offer on this building. I know that I work for them, but they do really good work. We worked with them for years, and I just think that I see this building, I pass by it every day, and I've been waiting for something to come through the city and someone to come and say that they're gonna rehab it in this way, because it really is an architectural gem and it deserves to be preserved. And so I'm really excited about this. And again, I'm biased. I will they do really good work, and I think that everybody would be excited to see what they can do for the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that 60 spaces for a lot is not a lot. I have that in my restaurant, and you think that's a lot, but it can fill up like that. But, so that's not a lot of cars when you really think about it, compared to like Ford's Corner and the Harris Teeter and stuff like that, where they have hundreds of spots. The thing that, and I like the presentation, Chris, the only thing I want to know is there a protection for the city and the neighborhood? You guys get halfway into it and change your mind. What happens to the building that's halfway either way? Do we have to protect it from the city and from the neighborhood?
That's all part of the agreement that's put together for the sale of the property, sale and construction of the property. So there'll be covenants within the agreement that provides protection for the city and the neighborhood so that that doesn't occur.
So will you revisit it to us again once this is closer, rather than just, I have this great pie in the sky theory? Will you present to us again when you have architectural drawings, when you have closer to it?
Well, I'll be happy to come back again. At this point, you know, once we have architectural drawings and so forth, we do this a lot, so my unit count's probably pretty close as it is right now. Right now, I just need to know if the city and if the neighborhood is supportive of the project in general, so we can start moving down the road. Because if not, we have other things to do.
It sounds great. I just wanted to, you know, when you say today there's 60, and when you get finally to the table there's 80, or whatever the case changes,
We have made a commitment to the city that we will in no case do more apartments than we have parking for. And that may mean 0 townhomes, although I don't think that's likely. I think we're gonna, if it turns out we don't have enough parking and we only have 55 parking space, then we're gonna just lose apartments. And maybe it's not as good of a deal from a development standpoint, but that's okay. We'll just pull more money.
that would be the devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very reasonable question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so my understanding of things up to this point is the city and its Colonial Place Riverview supportive of doing something with this eyesore that's been rotting for 20 plus years? That's pretty much a no-brainer. As somebody said, this idea is being floated that's very, very short on specifics. As somebody who's been watching this for a number of years, getting into some heated discussions about it, I would feel just, you know, for the neighborhood, having to deal with the traffic and all the fallout of this, that once something a little more concrete is in place, that we get a chance to, you know, take another look at it and say, well, this was the original proposal, let's redevelop this building. Great, I love that idea. You know, tired of calling the police because the windows are dead, the boards are off the windows again. Somebody's in there, and so I'd like to see some specifics, you know, about what we're actually approving, you know, before we would agree to move forward.
I can tell you the building will be renovated historically to look like this. They will be market rate apartments, and we will not do more apartments than we have parking for.
I remember 21st Street Farm Fresh, and you walk through there, it looks like the set from you know, some post-apocalyptic movie in some of the places of that apartment. So
we can define luxury as well. I'm happy to do that. Yes, sir.
I mean, one of the challenge or the dilemma is that, you know, we can ask Monument to come back and give us more of an update, but my sense from listening to you, Chris, is that unless you get a, you know, direction from us as a neighborhood, you know, by our our August meeting, a month from now, that you've got our backing, you're going to go elsewhere, and then, you know, the opportunity to get that follow-up. I mean, we're not going to have the chance to say, come back to us with more details, and we'll go then. I think, we owe it, we're going to have to make a decision based on the limited information we have now, either at this meeting or the next month's meeting. Because they're not going to go forward to get enough detail to answer all these questions because of the money it takes to spend, in order to get you those answers. It's going to take a bit of a leap of faith, which is uncomfortable for many people, I understand. But it's going to take a bit of a leap of faith that to give them a green light to go ahead and then come back and talk with us in good faith about the issues and get feedback as we work the project.
I think some of the things that you need to keep in mind is, first of all, the building itself. It's a beautiful building. It has good architecture with it, and that's going to remain. The other thing is that on the inside, I've been through there many times, the building is deteriorating. And there have been, quite frankly, there have been vandals throughout the building, and they have taken everything that could be of some value has been taken out of the building. The other thing is that the investment that's going to be made. When you look at When you look at a $12 million investment in a building, then you know that it's going to be done with quality. I mean, that's a huge structure, but still $12 million invested in a building. No developer is going to put that amount of money in a building that they're not going to be able to not only recoup their money, but also to be able to give a quality product that's going to be able to generate the revenues that they're expecting to come from. So when you look at those items, yes, it is a bit of a leap of faith because you don't have the complete detail. We would love to come to you and say, these are the floor plans, here are renderings of what a particular apartment will look like, but no developer is going to go to that much detail not knowing that they can continue to move on through the project. So at this point, we want to hear you. We are hearing you. We're going to address those issues that you're talking about, and we would like the opportunity to come back and show you a little bit more if this is what you want, that you feel that the community will be okay with. But again, it is a little bit of a leap of faith. But again, think about that $12 million investment.
So you have to rezone the property, right? Right. It's an institution. So you zone your...
It's been rezoned multifamily.
I see, right?
Yeah.
So you have to go through the zoning process.
Yes.
So there's another comment period that happens downtown.
It's been
And for all of us to come in.
It's been rezoned.
No, it has not.
It hasn't been rezoned. So
It's not even on the future land use map. It's still zoned.
it would be going through site plan review, architectural review. Those are all other opportunities for you to comment.
I think a lot of questions would be answered if we can look at this thing when you've got a site plan. Right now, you've got two renderings. They go over very well. A lot of questions here is parking and site and access. When you do a site plan, can you come back then?
We absolutely will with the site
That
plans.
could be 30 days. That could be next month.
Right. I mean, I think if the neighborhood and the city are generally supportive of our plan and tell us so, then we will start doing civil drawings, and we will start doing architectural drawings, and we will do all of those things. The site plan review process, City of Norfolk, 6 months. So,
Does the 12 million include the purchase?
it's total project.
Chris, I certainly support the project, including the townhouse.
Thank you.
Is there any chance that the gym and/or the cafeteria could be used for public use as well? We used to have our civic league meetings actually in the cafeteria, and actually we used the gym for voting purposes, but even to open it up for kids and adults in the neighborhood to play. Is that possible?
The size of our gym would probably have to, it would have to get really big to accommodate everybody in the neighborhood having access to it. But I can definitely say that to the extent that we're able, and we can figure it out, how to build a community area, absolutely. I mean, I can't give everybody key fobs, but maybe the secretary and president of the association and a couple other people. We have security cameras, we have key fob access into our building. That's an important piece to our tenants. But yeah, certainly. And we've done that in Richmond before as well.
So if there's one thing I could say, hi, I'm Courtney Doyle, and I represent you all on City Council Board 2, and I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I want to thank Michael Langston for actually insisting that anybody who came forward to support or to do anything with Stewart School, that they came before you first. And so that's the commitment that we made to Michael, so that he would see it. And that's why Eric Tucker is here tonight, who oversees real estate for the city of Norfolk. And that's why Chris is here. So I've been here just listening in the background, and I appreciate all the comments and know that the parking deciding, the access, the traffic on Virginia, the access to Carolina, that is something that we need to be committed to fixing for you all to make this project successful, if this is something you move forward with, because those are issues that are going to happen if anybody comes forward frankly with this property. So what we want to do is make this as much a city partnership with you to make it successful for the neighborhood, because you can't have this and then have the residual parking issues. So do know that that's why we came to you first, but also know that we needed your input so that we knew what our obligation is on this residential bill. So I just wanted to share that. Now, Andrew McCullough would have been here otherwise tonight as well. This is the first time I've seen it. I saw the 2 renderings actually today by email. Eric sent them to me. But the commitment was that it came to you first. So literally 8 hours ago, I got an email from 2 visuals. Tonight, again, Andrew couldn't be here. She's actually touring a congresswoman from Florida so that they can see all the issues we have with flooding and sea level rise, so that we can potentially get federal funding to help us in the city. So otherwise, she would be here. But do know that she and I are very much in close contact with the city, Eric, and with Monument to see what we can do to support this moving forward as well, if that is so your wish. Any questions of me on that? But I do want to commend Michael, because Michael was pretty insistent as the president of Civic League that nothing happens until it comes to you guys, and that we hear the sentiment of the community and the neighbors. And we committed to doing that. And actually, Doug Smith had a direct conversation. Doug Smith, the city manager, had a direct conversation with Michael. And that was something that kind of Andrea and I said, Doug, we need to make sure this happens. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to make a motion. This will be a non-binding vote. So when they do have more information for us, they can come back and we can throw in our full support at that point.
The president can't make a motion. You can have somebody else do it.
This is an idea. Maybe someone can adopt that idea and make the motion for you.
Just to have a sense of the people that have come here, because if we wait until the next Civic League meeting, half of you won't show up, another half will, and they won't have heard this proposal. So maybe we could just have a show of hands of who would like to encourage this process to go forward from what you've heard tonight. And it won't be an official Civic League vote, but at least we can say, this looks pretty good to us, and we like it. Does that work?
So all in support?
All that would support this project as we have seen it tonight. You don't need to be a member to do that.
All those that do not support the plan?
Great. Okay, we'll get working.
Pretty good about that?
Yes.
Brian Johnson. Glad to be back in town. I've been gone for 5 weeks. And I'll admit, I almost forgot about tonight's meeting, which is why I'm a little bit late, but I'm here. So, while I was gone, looks like you guys had a spike in car larcenies. And you're not alone. It's been throughout the city the last month and a half. We've been hit hard with car larcenies. I will say though, the 4 or 5 Civic leads that I have, even though we had a spike in car larcenies, we usually get a lot of stolen autos with those car larcenies because people are leaving keys in their cars or valet keys. And we're always preaching, don't do that, don't do that. And I haven't seen many car thefts from those car larcenies. I think you guys had one in the area. Your neighbors, same thing. I think they had Larchmont had, I think, one from all the larcenies. So that's good. That tells me you guys are keeping the keys out of the vehicles and makes our job a lot easier. As far as progress with that, we're putting more resources at night. It seems like it's happening between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning. School's out, so all the officers who were working in the schools have been put on the street, and they're helping us with that issue, as well as our attack unit, our bike guys. They're not always on bikes. They're never on bikes. I don't know why they call it a bike team. But they've adjusted their hours too. They used to get off at 2 in the morning, which is when things started happening, and they pushed that to 4 o'clock. So at least they'll be out there until 3 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of how it works. And with that said, it seems like, I don't know if we just got lucky, but we did make an arrest right across the street last night. We had an eyewitness who was willing to testify. We got victims who are willing to prosecute. So we got somebody in custody and a trial date and everything.
What's the charge?
So it's going to be trespassing, tampering with the auto, and I'm not sure we got charges on the items that were taken or not. It literally just happened 4 o'clock in the morning. I just viewed the camera footage.
Was that a juvenile, sir?
A couple hours ago. Good question. I don't remember. No, I don't think it was. I don't remember in the report anything about petitions.
Is it a suspected gang member?
No. That does pop up. Good question.
Do you have any instances of people reporting somebody in their car rifling through their stuff with the car being locked and not breaking a window, or, in other words, anybody using some kind of electronic device or something like that?
No, so every now and then I'll see a report, I'll read a report, oh no, I locked the doors, I always lock my doors. But usually somebody forgot to lock the door. If there's no sign of forced entry, I've been doing this for 11 years, I've never seen that magical device that everybody says that you can get on the internet. And I'm sure they're out there and they're in the movies and everything, but it's like a special coded. There's all kinds of gadgets out there that you can get. I've never came across it. That was the same question has been brought to me a few times. I went down to our traffic division. They're like, no, you're giving them way too much credit. They're not going to do all that just to rummage through your vehicle for a change. If they have that technology, they're just going to steal your car. You're never going to see it again. Yeah. So that's a good question. You did have a burglary. I don't have the details for you, but I can say that an arrest was made on that as well. So that's good news. And with that said, what I need from you guys, so the other issue I'm having through mainly from the business association is we have a lot of people, it seems like in wheelchairs. We have a lot of drinking in public, we have a lot of urinating in public up and down the street. So we're going after that. I think it's getting better, but if you guys see something, don't hesitate to either call me if you want, just call my cell number if you don't want to report it. And if I'm on duty, then I can go check it out. If not, just call 911 and let them know. But I just came out 7-Eleven, there's a guy out here panhandling, and he's drunk, or he's got an open container. So we try to clean that up. Kind of handle the small stuff, and so that it becomes a big problem. So if you guys see something like that, don't hesitate to call. Does anybody have anything for me?
Brian, further talking about something fell in Riverview, you got the ambulance, or was this a correct for?
I can't comment on that.
I'm prosecuting about the ambulance, that's why I was asking.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. I'm not even sure that I know the answer to that. So, even if I did, you know. But I know what you're talking about. Crazy things, can't make it up. Anybody else have any questions? Anything you guys need me to work on? Don't come to me next month and I need to do this. That's great. Does everybody have my number? You guys are putting it out there?
Yeah, it's on the back of the newsletter.
Yeah, it's on the newsletter. All right, I appreciate your phone calls. I'm going to hang around till the end of the meeting, so if anybody has any questions, pull me aside.
Thank you.
Yep.
For the last meeting in the back of the newsletter. As always, if you didn't get a copy of the newsletter, two things. I have some up here if you'd like to see one. And if you're supposed to get one, you live in Colonial Place or Riverview, you should get one on your doorstep once a month. See that gentleman at the end of this table right here, or see that lady that's the membership person at the end of that table, and they will make sure that your address gets covered by the newsletter. But if you need to see one, I've got a couple of them.
Well, I don't want to, Toby might say it later, but we need a couple volunteers for a couple open routes to deliver. Generally, it's like 25 to 35 newsletters once a month. Take about an hour to meet your neighbors, and then I'll do it on your block. But we do need some folks. That big stack of newsletters down there, we're supposed to go to Connecticut Avenue, and nobody can do it, so that's where they are. If you don't want Connecticut, didn't get one, yours is there. But if you'd like to help us out, see Ms. Sheriff down there.
We also need a route captain, which is the person who delivers the packets of newsletters to the actual deliverers. I think there's, 15 maybe?
Probably like that. Yeah, about once a month, a box would show up on your doorstep with nominally 15 newspaper bags full of newsletters, very good. And labels on them.
Yeah, and label with those two and their address and everything. So it's fairly easy. Again, it's just once a month. It takes you less than an hour, that long, to scoot around the neighborhood and drop those packets off. So if anybody's interested, please let me know. Oh, cool.
Artemis, social.
Turn your head and grab your necks. In the newsletter, hopefully you saw it. The first thing I'll talk about is the Facebook page. So we promote our events on Facebook and through the newsletter through Nextdoor. It's in here. It's Colonial Place Riverview Civically, and the picture on the Facebook page is a mermaid. It's the mermaid for the neighborhood. So you have to ask to join, and you have to provide your address so that we can verify that you're a neighbor in our neighborhoods. It is closed to residents of Colonial Place and Riverview, so we don't allow outside members for the page. So our next event coming up, we have on the 24th, we have an event coming up. I don't know if we can disclose the location yet. Do we have it verified? Okay, it's going to be at Elation Brewery on Collie, and it starts at 6. It's going to be from 6 to 7:30, 8 o'clock. It will be our first sponsored event, so we will have somebody there who has, do you want to talk about that? Or not yet?
August, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I'll talk.
Okay. Okay, so anyway, the event information will come out on the Facebook page and on Nextdoor, and we request that everyone RSVPs because we need to know food will be provided. So it's buy your own drinks, but the food will be provided. And we just need to know how to use Plan 4, so we really need those RSVPs. And then we're just working on other events. We're trying to get the Front Porch Fridays going again, so we're looking for locations. All it is opening up your front porch to the neighbors who want to attend, and everybody brings a potluck dish, bring your own drinks, just an opportunity for people to get together and get to know each other throughout the neighborhood. So if you're interested in doing that, you can respond to events@cprv.net. I check the emails on that page, so I will respond to you. And if you also have ideas for social events that you'd like to see happening in the neighborhood, you can again respond to events@cprv.net, and it's on the back of the page under my name. Again, I'm Artemis. That's all we had. Anything else? Yes?
How did the playground event go?
We just had an event for the families in the neighborhood. It was the CPRV Playdate, and we had about 10 families come out. We had a good showing. It was hotter than blazes that day, so the kids didn't really get on the playground equipment because it was in the sun. There was no shade there. But they met each other, and I think that there's going to be a neighborhood playgroup that it will be the result of that, which had been historically in the neighborhood for years, and I guess had kind of waned, and they want that to kind of come back and be a presence in the neighborhood. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Membership. We have 141 members, I believe, and I only don't know because she has my phone. If anyone wants to become a member, we...
147.
Okay, 147, even better. If you want to become a member, please see Toby. Let you vote at the membership meetings, and we're doing all kinds of cool things, as you heard with the social committee and stuff. So we really appreciate it, especially new people that are coming in. We'd love for you to join up, and if you have neighbors, tell them about it as well. But you can get if you don't join here, you can get a membership form on the back of the newsletter. And again, everybody should be getting a newsletter. If you don't, you want to know about it, because it's one of the few ways that you get your information about what's going on.
Do you have any?
No updates, except that I do believe we have a few plots left in the beautiful community garden that we have, so definitely take a look on the back of the newsletter, and the contact will be there for how to reach out there. It's a beautiful garden. If you want to just take a walk through, definitely I encourage you to do so, perhaps in the morning because it's been pretty hot this week, but or even in the lighter parts of the evening, but it's definitely a gem in the neighborhood, and it's roughly situated behind where Fellini's is, so if you go behind Fellini's kind of along to where Mayflower almost dead ends into the community garden itself, and they've done a marvelous job putting it together. It's in bloom right now, so if you want to go check it out, please, but be mindful that it is people's personal garden spaces that they're renting out, so you can look, but you can't touch.
Coming up in August, we're going to introduce you to a new business that's moving in Collie, Upscale Avenues. They're going to come in, and I've noticed a lot of properties going for sale in the neighborhood. We hate to see people leaving, but I'm seeing signs go up, and I'm seeing under contracts and sold signs really quickly. So if you want some tips on, if you're ready maybe to move up in the neighborhood, or want some tips on how to put your, get some that curb appeal that you need, they're going to come in and kind of help us with that. Plus, we're going to, as we get into the fall, we're going to have some election things to talk about. We'll have some candidates come in and talk. I know that Scott Taylor now, I think, has put in a candidacy. He's going to go after Mark Warner for that Senate seat, so that would be something to keep in mind as well. But we'll continue to have that. And then, of course, with the Stewart School, as that continues, we'll make sure that we get people in here and notify you on that as well. Any questions?
All I have is I just want to thank all of the residents that showed up to City Council. Without you guys showing up, I don't know how that would have went, but so thank you for showing up.
You guys were speaking so eloquently to sell it too. You and whoever else was there.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I have a question with the volunteers. One of the open houses that any
the covered porch and whatever the things included. What's the threshold of renovation, add-on, et cetera, in which those requirements are true, or is that?
So from what we've been told, if you don't touch it and you're just keeping it in the same state it is now, you're just fixing it up, there's no need to cover that porch and fit the guidelines. If you tear it down, you'd have to meet the guidelines at that point.
I mean, sometimes, I'm not, maybe this applies more like commercial properties like that. You do a certain amount of modification to a structure, add on, you know, I don't know, any structural work, and even though you're not tearing down, in both those codes, do you know if that exists at all, or? Is that
I'm not sure. I do know that we made sure if the house was like a Tudor, or you would be able to then appeal and go through the architectural review board. So I would just keep that in mind before you do anything.
Okay.
But for the most part, if you're just maintaining the current structure, you won't have any impact.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just real quick, we're new to the Civic League, long-time Colonial Place residents, and my wife has started a photography business, and what we want to do, I don't know if you've heard of Doors of Dublin.
It's just architectural, is that texture?
Yeah, okay.
I've heard of it. The architecture around the doors and all that, yeah, the different looks of doors and what have you. Yeah.
We really appreciate the Doors of Colonial Place, and she wants to put together a Doors of Colonial Place presentation. In order to do that, we can't take photos of all the doors from the street, but we kind of like to get up closer and get some really good shots of a lot of the doors and everything. So kind of figured this was the place to at least let the Civic League know that, or maybe put in the newsletter or something, that we're going to be approaching some of the houses.
Absolutely. I think if we talk after this with myself and David, we can figure something out.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything?
Just with Mr. Junior. So also Avenue will be sponsoring the event Elevation. I don't know.
No worries.
Talking about it, so I don't want to step on themselves, but yeah, so hopefully you guys can come out and you'll meet with Rover and like what he's trying to do. He's not a resident of Colonial Place, but he's a resident of Larchmont. He's really invested in like development, the overall development.
And they're in the commercial level of the new high-rise apartment, commercial apartments right on Colonial.
And it's more than like just being like a real estate company, we're like invested in the community and like we're many assets.
One more thing to add to what I said, everybody on the social has to make a raise your hand. I want you all to see all the apartments when we bring you events.
I haven't been on a meeting in so long. You're on another committee.
Great parties that we're getting underway for
Thank you. If there's nothing else, I'd like to move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you all.